Greater Good Radio. Connect, learn, heal, and grow. If you could only remember one memory or story that pertains to IFS and you would forget everything else, you could remember that one piece. What would it be?
I think it's probably the moment when I discovered that parts weren't bad. There is a story behind that. It's about 1983, and I was doing an outcome study to prove that family therapy worked with bulimic kids, and I found that wasn't true. We could reorganize the families just right, and the kids would keep going with their binging. And so out of frustration, I began asking why, and they started telling me about these parts. And I thought, okay, we have to get them to fight with the critic and to control the binge. And so I did what most people still try to do with these parts. And it wasn't working. It was making them get worse, but I didn't know what else to do. And then one client, in addition to binging, cut herself on her wrists. And that was driving me crazy to have somebody do that on my watch. And so one session, I decided she wouldn't leave my office until that part had agreed not to do it to her that week. And after a couple hours of badgering it finally said it wouldn't. I opened the door to the next session and she had a big gash down the side of her face. And I thought, I just kind of spontaneously collapsed emotionally and said, I give up. I can't beat you with this. And the part said, I really don't want to beat you. And then I got curious. Then why do you do this to her? And it proceeded to tell me the story of how it needed to protect her when she was being abused as a kid this way. And that was the turning point in the history of the model, because now I wasn't even just curious. I had compassion for the part, saw it as a hero, and tried that same approach with other parts and found the same thing with parts that seemed so evil and terrible. And so that moment I'll never forget, because it really was the inception of this whole way of thinking.
So once you experienced that, did this become kind of your laser focus or it was just curious in your mind?
No, once I saw that and I tried the similar process with other clients and it panned out, then it just became a laser focus. Yeah. And I thought, okay, maybe cutting parts aren't bad, maybe binging parts aren't bad. What about parts that had molested little kids or, murdered people? Could they also not be bad? And so I actively looked around to find clients that were like that and consulted to a treatment center for sex offenders for several years. And lo and behold, even those parts have their secret histories of how they got forced into their roles. So that would be the other point. Once I realized there really weren't any bad parts.
If you resonate with Greater Good Radio, please join our community at www.greatergoodradio.com, where you can get access to exclusive content and offerings. Hope to see you soon.